I'm on top,
Yo,
yeah.
no, I ain't the type to give up. If I do something, man, I do it till I get what I want.
It's good. All right, first exercise done, the MedX Lateral Delt raise machine. Now we move on to our chest work. So we're going incline, cambered bar bench press. I'd call this a medium incline, about 30 degrees. According to the bench, it actually has little markings on there. And then we've got the cambered bar. So the idea behind incline pressing, and the idea is it's not necessarily better at using your upper chest. It just doesn't allow you to use the rest of your chest very well. So for me, my preference suits that at the moment. I want to focus on my upper chest. So even if I sacrifice a little bit of work towards some of the other parts of my chest, I'm open for that because it's a priority at the moment. So a lot of my presses have inclines or slight inclines to kind of focus on that. So you think the further I incline like this, if this was me inclining and the weight keeps coming down against gravity, eventually that'll keep working its way up my chest until it becomes a shoulder press and it will kind of get quite shouldery. So the suggestion is up to around about 30 degrees is pretty good for inclines. I'm inclined to think that you kind of find what feels good for you. I think it could be above 30. Everyone's a little bit different. So even 30, 40, 45. Obviously, if we become all the way upright, that might not be ideal, but somewhere in that kind of region where you can feel your chest really well, your joints feel good and all that kind of stuff is my suggestion. And also to mix it up over time to see what's better and potentially use some different areas. Onto the cambered bar. So the cambered bar is a bar that allows extra range of motion. So my hands will be on the outside of this bar and this will be where my chest is. So as I sink down, I'll get that sort of bigger stretch to the chest and hopefully some more muscle growth. One of the kickers to this is that you'll lift light comparably to what you're used to of a standard bench press. So just be mindful of that. So other bench pressing cues are relevant. So you'll unrack, control that lowering phase, gentle tap to the chest, drive up. So as I film everything these days, what I noticed about this one from last week is that from a side-on angle, I'm kind of getting to a stage, if you see me side-on, where my elbows were dipping behind this bar like this. So essentially what was happening, I was touching too low down on my chest and my elbows were getting back this way. So it almost becomes an external rotation kind of movement, whereas I want it to be a pec movement, which is pulling my humerus or my arm across towards my torso basically. So I'm going to reduce the load today, see if I can't clean up my technique, and then hopefully progress it back forward. All right, let's hit our chest work up. Let's go. All right, cambered bar incline bench press done. So now we move on to a chest press variation. This one is a horizontal chest press, but angled slightly up, which again suits my preference for things going more towards the upper pec area. One of the potential contradictions that this now makes to most of the things I suggest whilst training is the resistance of this machine. So you can see that this hinge here, the hinge point is over there and the weight starts off down there. So when you begin pressing, it actually starts off easier and gets harder once this weight is furthest away from that hinge, which is kind of towards the end. So that is a bit of a contradiction to what I mostly say, which is make sure you get, train the muscle in the lengthened position and potentially make it hard in the lengthened position. However, I'm willing to make, willing to make this contradiction or whatever you might say, because I've already done an exercise that's in the stretch position with that, like a very deep stretch position, the incline cambered bar bench press, as well as it's quite hard in that stretch position. And when I have tried this one, it feels good. It feels joint friendly. It makes it harder in the shortened position. And again, these things that I say are not conclusive. They're just kind of where the evidence is currently leading. So when you can only follow the direction of what the evidence is doing, because it takes a long period of time for it to actually sort of give you any good recommendation. Not good, closer to conclusive recommendations. Never conclusive, but closer to conclusive. So a bit of a contradiction for myself here, but I'll put my hand up and say, yes, I've made that contradiction and those are the reasons why. So pressing, what you want to make sure with a machine like this is that we set the height such that your arm is aligned with the bar. So, or the handles, should I say. So essentially, you want to be pushing directly against the machine. So if I was way up here, you can see that my elbows are way above the bar and my forearm is angled down that way. Now the machine angles slightly up, so I won't initially or effectively be pushing directly against the resistance. But in my seated position, now we're in that kind of position there. Control the way back in as always, stretch, press. As always with the chest press variations, we're thinking about not just pushing the weight out, but pulling the arm in towards your sternum and sort of up in this kind of area here. So as I'm pressing, I'm not just pushing this out, I'm pulling this in so I can make my pecs work quite hard. All right, feels good to kind of open up about my contradiction, so thank you for that. Let's go to set one. We start off with a heavy set and then back it down for some lighter sets. All right, chest press done, chest work in general done. Both pretty good, so happy with that. Performance, we had a little reset of weight on the cambered bar. Now I recommend that every now and again if you feel like your technique's getting sloppy or it doesn't feel as effective as it once did. Reset the weight, bring it down a couple of kgs to build back up. So that can be a little bit of a hit in regards to like, oh, I'm not making progress. But the thing about it is it's going to lead to potentially longer term progress and actually getting what we want from the movement. So if you reset 5 kgs on something and then it feels so much more effective, it's much more targeted to what you want, you're not just getting away with shitty technique, you'll find that you're getting more of actually what you want from the exercise versus, yeah, I'll drive the, your butt up off the bench, twist, bounce it off your chest, all these kinds of things. Reset the technique, take the hit for a little period of time, and then start to progress again. Because it is like the only way to kind of, if your goal is muscle growth or physique related, I'll stop ranting in a second, then essentially the weight going up is just supposed to represent that you are growing muscle. But if you change technique and the weight goes up, how do you know it's your muscle growth that's creating that extra performance? So therefore, yeah, every now and again, it might have some merit to kind of reset your technique and then build back through. Take that little hit and then build back through, because even though it was lighter than I started off last week, it felt more effective. So my chest felt more targeted, my body felt better, all that kind of stuff. Technique felt better. So good, that was good. Okay, now this one as well, I'm having a big spiel today. This is easy bar skull crusher. So normally at this stage I would do dumbbell shoulder press, but what I figured from also doing this on my first push day of the week, so go and check that out if you haven't already, is that triceps are more of a priority than my anterior delt. So I am going to put this here and then go to dumbbell shoulder press next, because I want to prioritize triceps more than anterior delt specifically. So as far as the order of events gone today, we've got that machine lateral raise, lateral delt. We've gone 2 chest exercises. Now we come to triceps. So with that said, easy bar skull crusher just has the little dint in it here. I'm doing it on the flat. I wouldn't, be mad at doing it on the decline, incline, whatever feels good to you. It's always been a nice, effective one to me. You could do a straight bar, dumbbells. The options are endless, as they say. So it'll come up on the map. In a perfect world, we might have a rackable one of these, and what rackable means is it's longer. It can fit in the squat rack. I wouldn't have to lie down with it as I am now, but not available, I don't think. Lie down with it. So multiple options for your technique on here. Flex the elbow, go towards the chin or throat area. Nothing wrong with that. That hasn't always been my favorite as far as my elbows go. They haven't loved that one. You could aim towards the forehead, although I've got a hat on, touch the forehead. Again, that has been fine for me in times gone by, but the most effective variation for me is over the head, just barely over the top of the head, touch the bench gently and extend from there. That's my preferred technique, but again, you find what feels best for you, and then just be consistent to that technique. All other things are the same. Control the descent, gentle pause or tap at the bottom. You can explode up pretty fast. And it's getting hot. This is kind of a factory kind of gym, so summertime might be brutal. All right, let's give it some. All right, skull crushers done for the triceps. We are working very hard to even sustain performance at the moment. So such is life for me personally. When I get more and more into a fat loss phase, progress is pretty difficult. But again, we have to strive to maintain or improve performance, even if it's by a little bit, such that we retain all the muscle that was so hard to build. While we lose the fat, in the near future, we'll turn that around and hopefully drive performance, drive muscle growth, all that kind of stuff. For now, just holding on for dear life, grinding it out where we need to. And grinding would be the word I would use at the moment. The last couple of days it's become a grind, whereas last week and the start of this week, pleasant fun, no dramas. Now we're time to grind. So this is where you see, the extra progress, that extra level of leanness and stuff like that, which is cool to see. And then we can use that as motivation to keep the grind going, basically. Okay, so now we move on to our one and only anterior delt movement. Lateral delt will work here as well. We're going to do dumbbell shoulder press. I've been doing it. This could probably be something I could skip, and I might in the future if I get to my end of this fat loss phase and I decide that the anterior delt for me is not something that needs extra work, which for a lot of physique people, they kind of just don't do anterior specific delts at all because of the pressing, flies, etc. use that muscle group. But I am inclined for right now to give it 2 sets, which is what we're going to do today, to make sure it is the focus for those 2 sets. It could be something in 8 weeks that I just go, nope, don't need it. Even though I'm quite weak at these movements, it's always been a little bit of a weakness of mine. It doesn't really matter for my goals, I suppose, but yeah. So anyway, 2 sets, dumbbell shoulder press. Dumbbell start on the ground. I'll usually deadlift them up onto my lap, get myself set, kick one, kick the other, and then we're ready to go. I like to touch the inside part of the dumbbell to the shoulder, so I have a consistent finish point every time. And we think about the anterior delt versus the lateral delt from before. Now, because we've also externally rotated the arm, kind of puts that anterior on delt and puts it the anterior delt on top, should I say, kind of allows it to help pull this in. But again, we're thinking all of the delt, be it anterior, lateral, or posterior, comes into the deltoid tuberosity, and then they have different insertion points. So for the anterior delt, which is what we're going for, it's the outer third of the clavicle. So you're thinking about pulling this part of the arm towards the clavicle, which practically looks like pulling your arm towards your head in some capacities. Now, if we start to get down here, it's now starting to be pec. So you kind of want to be above the pec, but if we start to get too far back, or lateral raises that go back here, then we're thinking lateral delt. So you're kind of finding that sweet spot between upper pec, lateral delt. We're going in between those 2 points for the anterior delt. All right, yes, so I've thrown the tricep Easy Bar Skull Crusher in front of this, which would normally not be the case. So we're going to see how our performance goes. And yeah, it might dip, but again, priority's a priority. Okay, we finished the workout off with 2 drop sets. 2 exercises, both with drop sets. So number 1, we're going to do a tricep push down here for a drop set. So we're going to do 3 sets back to back to back. And essentially what a drop set allows for is getting multiple sets in a short period of time. All can be nice and close to failure. And yeah, you get the work done in, I don't know, a third of the time, something. I don't exactly know the timeline. I can look it up for you and I'll figure it out. But essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose a weight to begin with, do about 10 to 15 reps, drop some weight off, pretty much start the set, within like 10 to 15 seconds, do another set, have another 10 to 15 seconds, do another set. So we get 3 sets close to failure here, all within a really short duration of time, maybe 3 minutes. Whereas normally it'll be a set, rest 1 to 2 minutes, a set, rest 1 to 2 minutes, a set. So maybe we're chopping 70% of the time off, and they can still be very effective. Are they as effective as single set training? Potentially not. But again, for what I've done here today, to get that little bit extra volume in, I'm going to do it with this, and I'm going to do it with some dumbbell lateral raises after this. Now to the specifics. Tricep push down. A potential downside of it is essentially we're not stretching the long head of the tricep out, because the long head of the tricep attaches into the scapula. This, a fully bent elbow, would be stretching the tricep out, but as we take the arm up overhead, we're stretching that long head up because it also aids in shoulder extension, and we're flexing the shoulder, sort of stretch it out further. So, but I've got movements on other days. That push day number 1, I've got an overhead extension. Today I've got a skull crusher. This is just for a little bit extra volume and keep it nice and chill on the elbows. So we will do 3 sets, all with a little bit of drop weight in between, and then we'll do it with the dumbbells. All right, anyway, I'll shut up. Here, elbows come down from the side as a nice flexed elbow. From there, straighten the elbow, bend, straighten the elbow, bend. Boom, 10 to 15. Drop the weight, shake the arms out, another set, so on and so forth to get 3 sets. And yeah, I like it, feels effective. Yeah, so I do it, get the volume in, get the work done short period of time. All right, let's get it going. All right, tricep press down done as a drop set. Quick note on drop sets before you give them a go. Some expectations. Pain, as Clubber Lane said in Rocky 3, it's painful. It goes for 3 minutes. You don't really give yourself heaps of recovery. Maybe it's like almost like a small version of cardio. You get hot, all that kind of stuff. So before you implement them, just note there's a different kind of pain to be associated with doing that. Just like, you know, if you ever do higher rep training, that stuff's painful in a different way than doing like 6 to 8 and stuff like that. So with that all said, we've got one more of those to go. Dumbbell lateral raise drop set. So as I warm up here, I'll kind of show you what I'm going to do. So dumbbell lateral raise, we're going to grab 2 dumbbells, pull them out here. I like to have it slightly in front of the level of my body, kind of almost aiming it towards you as the camera here, maybe slightly beside you, what we call the scapular plane, almost like 40-ish degrees from the side. That feels most effective to me. Biomechanically, there are suggestions that that is where the lateral delt is best suited to work. So how it'll work, I'll go over, I'll do my warm practice round as we describe it as well. Bring the dumbbells out, lateral raise. Nice and close to failure. When I'm finished, dumbbells go back in. I'm going to get a lighter weight. I'm getting a heavier weight because I'm preparing to lift my weight for today. We strap in again. Here, dumbbell lateral raise. And we will do 3 sets also. So again, 3 difficult sets within a short duration. Saves us a little bit of time, but uncomfortable. But for me, at this stage, I'm willing to feel that discomfort. For me, dumbbell lateral raise, I go with straps. I think people call me a pussy or a wussy for using the straps, but I just want to pretend I'm not even holding the weight, and it's just an extension of my own arm so I can really focus on what I want, which is a lateral delt. And we get these done and we are out of here. Let's get it going. All right, that's a wrap on the workout, guys. Whew, she's tough. She's getting hot in here as well. So a couple of things that I'm thinking about there. So main one to come from that. So as this diet has gone on, and last week I believe I even suggested in this exact video from last week, was some intra-workout nutrition, or especially carbohydrates. So potentially, if you are fully fed, gaining weight, you've got all your glycogen stores full, that's a non-issue. But maybe as that starts to decrease and go down, maybe intra-workout nutrition makes more of a difference. So I'm considering next week doing a little experiment where we will be week 6 of this fat loss phase, where we start to add in some carbohydrate to a drink intra-workout and just play the experiment game. Because I'm finding that at the beginning of the workout, I felt pretty good, but I started to fade as the workout went on, and the performance on those kind of dumbbell lateral raises really showed me that, all right, now it's time to potentially tick that as a box. I might experiment with it next week. It might go really well, or it might not matter at all. In the case that it doesn't matter at all, hopefully I'm not spending too much money on something that doesn't matter. If it goes really well, something to keep in mind for the future, especially in a fat loss phase or a diet. So that's one thing. I mean, as far as my spirits go, they aren't like what you would call super high. But then when you see different, things changing in your body and you see different levels of leanness, probably the leanest I've ever been, and with a good amount of muscle, not losing too much muscle, you're like, oh, that's cool, that looks awesome. So yeah, you go from the motivator being feeling good to train, having fun, and then you kind of check in with the results. Maybe if that starts to feel a little bit shit, you feel a little bit lethargic, motivation's low, then it's like, okay, now let's lean into the results. We're getting the results, so that can be motivating. But I believe that is all I have for today. Tomorrow we go lower body, second lower body session of the week. So we will see how that goes as far as performance. And yeah, I might go to the supplement store, get some dextrose powder or something like that, add it to an intra-workout shake, bada bing, bada boom, get those carbs in. The downside to that is I'll have to take them away from the rest of my food. But again, we have to prioritize the training. The training is what's stimulating muscle growth or muscle retention. So that's a massive priority versus just eating food. All right, as always, if you're liking the content, guys, please hit the little subscribe up there. It'd be much appreciated. If you want to watch another video or how I'm training some other muscle groups in the long form, click this bad boy up there. If you want to check out a couple little shorts, click this one down here for some tips and tricks and whatnot. And as always, it's about progress over perfection. Coach Dan, signing off.